If you're watching this video right now, you've probably got into medical school. So do you think you're nice? Like, do you think you're better than everyone? Hello everyone, my name is Dalton. I'm currently a third year medic at the University College of London, intercalating in psychology, and today I'm going to tell you what you need to succeed your first 2 years of medical school. Alright, so first things first, you need to figure out what kind of learner you are. Are you more of a note taker or a note reader? If you're a note reader, I'd recommend you to get the laptop. So I personally have the MacBook Pro. I love using the MacBook Pro, it's very convenient. The reason why I prefer using the laptop is because I have better access to notes. Laptops generally have a longer battery life and it's more easier to multitask. So what I do is open up notes as well as using Anki, which is a form of active recall, which I'll get onto later, so that I can essentially recall science whilst also review my notes for any gaps in knowledge. Now, if you're more of a note taker, I'd recommend you to get the iPad. People generally tend to have the iPad Pro, but this is a more outdated iPad just because I don't use my iPad to take notes. I mainly use it for revision. Now, the reason why my friends have told me that they prefer using the iPad is because 1, it's more portable, 2, it's more personalized, 3, it's easier to annotate notes because if you have the iPad Pro, you can use the Apple Pencils. People use Apple Pencils to add more of a personalized touch to learning. Now with the iPad, people take notes with Notability or the OneNote app. The Notability app is a bit pricey. Meanwhile, the OneNote app is essentially free if you have a uni account. The notes can be really flashy, really artsy. Like, yeah, I'm a fan. Now, these two tools are great when it comes to passive learning, but you have to remember that the main thing when it comes to studying medicine is the active recall, guys. Now, active recall is what allows you to consolidate your knowledge and retain it inside your head, which is the most important bit of medical school, because you're not going to go into exams with notes, are you? So what do I recommend you to use for active recall? Now, what I use for active recall is Anki. Now, Anki uses a spaced repetition algorithm as a form of learning. A big advantage of Anki is that there are pre-made decks made potentially by older medical students at your uni or older medical students at my uni, and they allow you to cut your studying time in half because you don't have to make the decks, you just have to go over them. Another reason why I love using Anki decks is because it complements very well with revision notes. So as I said earlier on, when I use multitask tabs, I tend to open my notes and the Anki app at the same time, essentially going over the notes to correct any gaps in knowledge. And also studies show that students who tend to use a spaced algorithm type of learning tend to score better than students who study medicine traditionally. If you want to have a social life as well as staying on top of your work, you gotta do this. This is the go-to. Thank me later. Now, when it comes to revision, you like to produce a nice, calm environment. So some of us listen to music. Now, there are 2 things that I recommend you to use to listen to music. 1, I'd recommend you to use AirPods. Now, AirPods are genuinely useful if you're trying to use them for shorter revision periods. For example, if you're just studying Anki or if you're just going over something for 1 or 2 hours, these AirPods literally have a low battery life. Literally, guys, if you have the AirPods, you know the struggle. You'll put them on for 1 minute and... However, for longer periods of revision / studying, you'd want to have headphones. Essentially like these. These are Beats headphones. Now, the reason why I recommend headphones is because they have a much longer battery life than AirPods. They're also quite portable. A lot of them tend to have the noise cancelling feature, letting you focus on your revision in peace. Another thing that is essential for you to have in medical school is organizer. Now, as a medical student, you're going to be very busy on placements, shadowing, doing club activities, society roles, and you need an organizer to prevent having a spontaneous kind of day. Because my experience from having spontaneous kind of days is that you don't do work, you procrastinate. Now, another essential tool to have to succeed first and second year is the whiteboard. Now guys, the whiteboard is so useful. It's another form of active recall. You can use your whiteboard to draw out mechanisms such as the blood clotting stages or Krebs cycle, and then essentially you can wipe it off and redraw it to test your retention. This is more useful as opposed to actually buying notebooks, because with notebooks you're going through tons of paper and you'll just end up having paper everywhere, which doesn't look tidy at all. Now the next thing I recommend is the pencil case. Now what do you need in your pencil case? First of all, you need a calculator. Now, when I say calculator, I don't mean a scientific calculator, I mean a general calculator, because they don't tend to allow scientific calculators into exams. So for example, calculators like these, they wouldn't allow it in. Now, the other things I recommend you to have in order of importance is pencil, pen, rubber and ruler. In medical exams, you generally use a pencil. Now, onto the books. The books I recommend you to use throughout your medical years is firstly the Grey's Anatomy book. The Grey's Anatomy book is amazing. It comes with annotated images, and this book also comes with useful mnemonics that you can use to essentially remember your anatomy better. And if you want to be sourcing it up in the surgical theatres like my good auntie Dr. Bailey in Grey's Anatomy, then you have to read this. You gotta read this. Auntie, you know you do. The next book I recommend is the anatomy colouring book. Now the reason why I recommend this is because they compartmentalize anatomy in nice digestible chunks. And if you're more of a visual learner when it comes to learning, then I'd recommend you to get this anatomy colouring book. Now if you go to UCL, I'd recommend you to get these 3 books. These are all Dean and Peggington books. Now these books have SBA questions which tailor to the style of examinations at UCL Medical School. And that's all for today's video, guys. If you just got into medical school, one, congratulations. It is a flex, and yeah, you have a right to think you're better than everyone. Well done. You deserve a round of applause. Go enjoy yourself, because medical school is long, so you have to pace yourself. But yeah, congratulations. This is just the beginning of the road for you, and enjoy the process. There's going to be a lot of things that you're going to learn, a lot of interesting cases you're going to be presented with. Just embrace the process. And for those of you who are already in medical school, congratulations for making it on to the next year. One thing in medical school is that time flies. Thanks for watching, guys. Please make sure you like, comment and subscribe. Also, if you haven't, check out my other videos here. It's DaltzCB, who else could it be?